Hi there, welcome back. Okay, I started recording and then 3ds Max crashed about 12 minutes in, but don't worry, you didn't really miss anything. I'm going to redo all again. Okay, so I'm just going to unhide all, and we can see that the head is in the right position, and the scale's just about right. I'm going to delete off this one. Scale's just about right on this one. Just turn off the selection grid, but I think I'm going to need to scale it, so I'm just going to go to my front viewport, and as we can see, the actual axis for this isn't quite right, so I'm just going to my pivot and just using my move tool and just bring it across. Now, if you're finding yourself getting distracted now by the amount of time it's taken for realistic, just move to straight shaded like that, and remember you'll need to use your kind of best guess for the middle, unless, and you can do this too, hang on, you just basically throw a connect all the way down the middle there. It's nice how autosave immediately kicks in the second I start bloody recording, isn't it? Anyway, not to worry, I'll just quickly show you what I mean. So I go onto this, let's grab this edge here, ring it, including ringing through here, all the way up there, and then just mash connect, okay, and that'll give me a line. Anyway, I'm not going to do it that way, it's fine the way it is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to align this so it is in the right position to start off with, and I want to make sure that the head's big enough for what I want. I'm going to scale it up just a bit. Move it to about there. Just go to my left viewport and zoom. See how far out it is. That seems okay. Okay, perspective. Just have a look at it. Knock off F4 so I can see the head properly. Yeah, that's okay, because we've got like lots of shelter going on from the top from that, which is kind of what I wanted. Okay, so what I'm going to need to do now is basically find a way to get this and the piece behind it kind of married together. Now, as we know, there are some parts in this that we can kind of separate off if we wanted to, so if I just click on this, you can see that we have the back piece here, and then like the cowling and the surrounding parts. So we could separate those off. So I think I'm going to do that, just detach, and I'm just going to detach it not as a clone or as an element, like that. And now what I can do is just select this piece and hide everything else. Before I do though, down here, where all my pistons and things and all the bits that I created are, I'm going to grab this one. So let me just get nice and close so I can see it. And do a marquee select, deselect that one, and I'm just going to drag it up there. Okay, so I've just got a nice copy, sitting roughly where the head's going to be. Now I can select the head and the internal mechanism, right click and hide unselected. Okay, and that makes things suddenly a lot easier for me. Okay, now I'll put realistic back on because I prefer being able to see shaded edges for what I'm doing. And if I take this, remember we can rotate it around, it's just the lookouts that obviously change, so I'm just going to make that 90 degrees like that. Okay, and obviously it still works. As you can see. Now, I can see how far in this needs to go, so what I need to do is create kind of a back piece that's going to go in here. So I'm just going to have a quick look at this, and I'm going to grab 4 polygons just here and click grow. Okay, and now what I can do with these, just duplicate them by detaching and attaching it to an element, click OK. hide this select. Oh, hang on. I didn't want to detach it as an element. Wait a second. So I'm going to detach that, not as an element. There. So now I've still got my original part here, and this part here. A hole cut out the middle. And now I also have this part here. Didn't really want to do it that way, so I'm just going to undo it all again. That was a messy way of doing it. So right, grow. Okay, detach. And there. So it's going to be a clone as well, that way I don't end up with a hole in my model. Now I can hide this selection. Okay, and that just leaves us these pieces. Right, if I go here, and I'm just going to go to polygon mode, make sure they're all selected and flip. And then I'm going to grab the outside area, just here. Hold shift, just drag it to about there, like that. And then I'm going to use the scale tool just on this axis, make it flat. There we go. Now, go around it, just select all the polygons there, and then do a Control I, because I don't need the back. I now know that that is going to fit into there. And I also no longer need quite a few other bits. So, I get rid of this edge here, Control, backspace, remember? And if I go to my left viewport and zoom, I can also get rid of all of these, because I don't need them. Got to be careful how I select those, because I just selected them completely the wrong way. I mean these. Okay, back in perspective and zoom. Let autosave do its funky thing for about 12 seconds or whatever it is. Gives me enough time to drink some coffee. And what we're doing now is we're starting to create a base that our head's main kind of rotation is going to come off. Okay, so we want our head to be able to move up, down, left, right, and turn, and all that good stuff. And for that to work, we're going to be using the piston that we kind of brought up that's over here. So let's just bring this over to here, so it's roughly in the right position. And I'll build it back to the head. So I've done that. Okay, zoom over here. And I'm going to cap off this end here. So just click cap button. And then I can chamfer it. So I'll just go to select by edge. And then over here I'm going to click chamfer. There we go, and just carefully round that like so. Okay. Now, sides here and here. I'm going to put a little bit of detail just in case anyone's kind of looking into the model. So put that in there. Bevel it slightly in like that, and then grow it. Actually, before I do that, Control select by edge. And grow that instead. And now I'm going to chamfer that, and that'll round them. Okay, so it gives us a nicer shape there. And just turn that off. Okay, next up, I want a surface that these are going to come off, and I need it fairly near to the actual head itself, so the head is going to have some decent movement on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a cylinder, and I'm going to build a cylinder that's a piston that looks like it has movement but doesn't. So what I'm going to do is start with an auto grid. Okay, and the idea is that the head's obviously mounted on a giant kind of piston shock absorber. I'll give it 26 sides, that way it's nice and smooth. Okay, and right click, convert to editable polygon. And I can either put in the bevels here or I can do them in a minute. I'm just going to grow this so I don't have a backside to it. Control I and delete. Okay, and now I'm going to take the inside polygon just here and start a bevel. Just a small one like that. I'm going to bring it in. up. Then I'm going to make a nice milled edge here, and then bring that in. Now remember, I don't have to worry about the fact that, you know, it's not a functioning piston. What it is obviously just going to be a single model. I could make it functional if I wanted to, but I really don't see the point. Okay, so that piece there, and then for this one I'll just have it come straight out. Put a second milled kind of edge, or is it a routed edge, or whatever you want to call it, like that, and out to there, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to build. Oh, QI press, what are you doing? I think QI press is having a little hissy fit. Go on, off you go. I'll just kill that in the taskbar, just give me a minute. There we go, I've killed it off. Right. Now for this part, I'm going to bevel it, 0 length again. And remember, if you're not used to it, just take some practice, load up a empty 3ds Max scene, and then you can just do your practice there, you know. And I'm just going to, oops, not that way. And see, you're being a bit annoying now, Max. Bring that straight out, like that. Okay, and that gives us this rather handy shape here. Now, in order to reinforce the shape, a couple of things I'm going to do. Firstly, I'm going to put an open subdiv on this. Okay, so that'll smooth our model right down. I'm turning off isoline display because I need to see the isolines, and I'm going to my modeling tool, pinning my stack at the end and showing end results. Now I can start throwing in swift loops. There. There. And there. See, so we start to see where the edges were getting kind of come together. If I don't want to see the end result, I can just do that. Remember, we're not shying away from having a huge amount of polygons, so just enjoy yourself, get the shape the way you want it. You need sharp edges in certain places, make sharp edges. The polygon count at the moment is unimportant. When it comes down to it, who knows, maybe later on we'll make a game model, but not at the moment. So let autosave do its thing. A sip of coffee while it's doing it. Coffee. Yum. Okay, bring this around. And again, here and here. Depending on how tight you want your edges to be. Like I say, if you're not too sure of the process, rather than messing your model up, when you take a few moments and perhaps just have a look at doing some practice in an empty scene. Okay, now let's show end result. Much nicer. Not very tight though over here, so what I can do actually is, you see this edge here, I'll just turn off show end result. Hang on. There's no edge in there, so I'm going to quickly build one. And that'll tighten up that density quite a bit there. Have a look now. Yeah, you see, much nicer. Nice straight edge. Good machined look. Unlike this side, which just looks like crap, but that's okay, we'll sort that out now. So I'm going to kill subdivision again, either turn it off or delete it. And what I'm going to do here is just isolate this shape for the moment, just so that I'm just looking at this one. My front viewport and zoom. Okay, that's ideal. I now know exactly how I'm doing this, you see. I just needed to check. So I need my polygons on this one. Not that one. That one. There we go. Just going to select my top polygon here. Bottom polygons here. Okay, and I'm just going to extrude those. Okay, straight up, straight down by around about 4, I think would be ideal. And click tick. And then on the sides here and here. Okay, make these ones a little bit bigger. And just going to extrude those. Now, I'm going to flatten them, so I'm just going to use my scale tool on the y-axis. Okay, give me a nice flat shape there. Same again on the tops. And we're not wanting to mix up shapes too much, so these flat edges, if they're going to be visible, I'm going to want to do something to them to make them less sharp. So there's a couple of options I can use for this, especially as I'm using kind of mesh smooths and stuff. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab maybe that one, just go to my front viewport for this, helps to be able to see what I'm doing, and I'm going to do this by edge, so just grab that, just start getting my angles. I don't know, I'm not happy with that overall shape, so I think I'm going to do it a different way instead. I want some interesting and quite complicated shapes in this one, but I want to be careful that I'm not going to end up damaging my model, so I'm going to select this and this and collapse them. Same again here. It's not often I get to use the collapse tool, so same again on the bottom. And here. And yet this does take a little bit of time putting these parts together, and it does require you to actually use your noggin a little bit, but it's worth doing. Okay, now I'm going to select that and delete these and delete them. Go over here and delete that one. And over here delete those. Okay, and look at this shape while I'm doing it. I'm going to select here, do a hinge from edge, pick my hinge, so pick my hinge. Okay, now I'm going to make this 180 degrees, and the number of things on it is 12. That way it'll be nice and smooth. Okay, so I'll just let autosave do its business while I have another swig of delicious coffee. Yum yum yum. Okay, 12 segments, and click tick. Next up, go to the side here, go here, hinge from edge, and obviously it's going to default to the old hinge, so give it a new one. There we go, click tick, click delete, always click delete. Now, this one, find our edge that we want to hinge from. Or not it. Oh, I was pressing the wrong button, that's probably why. I see. Come on, stop it. There, that one. Hinge from edge. There. Click tick, click delete. Remember, we're making some complicated shapes, so obviously 3ds Max is going to be like, what you doing? I'm getting a little bit freaked out. Don't worry about it. Hinge from edge again. Just try and remember roughly where the hinge is and you should be fine. Delete. Okay, so we know this is all set up correctly in the way we want it. So I'll go to my left viewport and zoom. And I'm just going to select this slot, just here. Do a weld. And that way we won't lose loads and loads of our carefully chamfered detail. Okay, so now these are just continual. These are working the way I want them. Now, if I go into Swift Loop, I can then put a Swift Loop just here and here. Okay, so we've got those in the important place that we need them. I could also put a swift loop on the inside of this here if I want to. I'm going to see what open subdiv looks like once I've applied it though. It's not too bad, although it does need the edges strengthening in places, so I'll just bin that again. And what I'm going to do instead is just select all these. It'll take me a moment. I'm doing it this way. It means I'll have the extra edge on the inside that I want. So don't be afraid to take like 60 seconds to do it this way if you want. Another way you could do it as well is if you select here, now think about it, and maybe here, and here, and here, and then grow. Huh, more or less worked. Not quite, but nearly. Saves me a little bit of time. You know, saving a little bit of time is still a bit of time. Okay, now I'll do an inset. Not a massive one, just enough that, ooh, there's a piece up there that isn't right. Can you see? Watch. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, we'll have to fix that. It means there's an extra polygon in there that shouldn't be. There it is there. And if that's there, if I just zoom on it, it means it has some little buddies in there with it. There, and there. Hit F3 and have a look. Now the easiest way to fix that, I'm just going to come in there. It means I've got to reselect this lot, but it's better to do that than to make a hideous mistake that you will regret. Okay, and I'm just going to use my target weld tool. There we go. Right, so what I'll do now is I will go back and select these, same here and here, and just click grow. As you see, I've only got like 12 to select now, and there's no horrible error in my mesh. There we go, inset, not that much. Maybe about that much. Click tick. And then I'm going to insert this again. Like that. Insert it one more time and then collapse it. Okay, and by doing that, it means that when I apply my open subdivision to it, it's not going to be all messy and awful and make me sad and all that kind of business. Okay, next up then, let's have a look at it. End isolate. End isolate. There we go. So we can see where this is going to in the head. Now remember, I was going to make a shock absorber onto this. So first things first, I'm going to open subdiv, see how it looks. Pretty good being the answer. Yay. Okay, I'm going to turn off isoline display, right click and convert it to an editable polygon by just collapsing the mesh. And then I'm going to use a spring. So if I go over to my extended primitives, should have a spring unless it's in compounds. Oh, where the heck did I put springs? Can never remember. Actually, no, it wouldn't be a compound, it's dynamic, isn't it? There we go, spring. Now, I'm using auto grid, and I'm going off the flat point here, just dragging it wide. That's the wrong flat point. This point here, just dragging it wide. And out. And what I'm going to do is just get this placed in the right area, so it needs to be obviously central to this pipe, just here. And I'm going to get the height and change that because it's too big. I hate when it does that. You just start adjusting the height and then it flicks back. Unfortunately, it's an engine problem. It's just the way it goes. Okay, so that goes there. Now I'm going to change the diameter so that it's wider than the actual top part here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the amount of turns. There we go. In my left viewport now, so that I can make sure it's lined up in the right way there. There we go. And I could boolean these to make them fit if I was so inclined, but I'm not. Okay, so that gives us that shock absorber there. I think if you want it to look even more precise, we can increase the height on this so that it's kind of overlapping in both parts, but that's entirely up to you. Now, over here, where the back of the head is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and we need some sort of a control system for the inside of the head. So, I'm going to isolate this selection, and remember I don't have smooths and things on at the moment. I'll just have a look around on the inside of the head. The whole idea is the head's basically just going to fit onto the part that I tell it to. So I'm basically just going to use a kind of a connect, well, not even a connect, what do you call it, a link. So grow that, flatten it, there we go, this gives a nice flat shape. And on the inside of this, we don't need to see what's going on in here, we just need some surfaces really for it to connect to. So there's one there, and let's say there's going to be one here, so we'll have that too, and I'm just going to extrude it by 0 and click tick. Okay, and then let's bring that straight out like so, and then flatten it. Okay, and then work out where the hell my model's gone, because I've accidentally zoomed out somewhere. Unhide and isolate there. Right, get back into this one. You just hate it when that happens, you press the wrong button and your model zooms around. Right, just scale it on that axis, so we now have that one. And I'm going to right click and isolate the selection again, obviously just so I can see it. So what I want to do is just take the edges, there, and there. For those who are wondering, by the way, in a conversational kind of mode that I'm in here, this is the most detailed tutorial set I've ever created as a tutorial, so I hope that you're enjoying it. Okay, I'll just grow this, and I'm just going to do an inset. That way when I do a mesh smooth we still have the inside of the faceplate. I don't need to design the engine stuff going inside the head because we're probably not ever going to see it. However, I would like to actually have a simple head so that I can use it as an example for texturing and stuff like that with the inside parts. So just wait for this to come off. There we go. There, and put that there, and I'll put another one just about there, like that. Okay, next I need a couple of parts. I've got that one there, although I think I'm not overly fond of this shape or this shape, so I'm just going to quickly fix them. There we go. It's better than having weird broken polygons. And then with that one there done, what I need to do is go into here, and I'm going to select this bit, which is just 4 polygons, and this bit, which is also just 4 polygons, and extrude it like so, and then flatten it. Okay, so don't worry, all this madness is going to make sense to you in just a few minutes probably. If it doesn't, well, you can just say it's one of them Cris tutorials. Shake your head sadly. Just want to make sure that we don't lose too much definition from this as we go along, as we apply a mesh smooth to it. There we go. And turn that off. So now we have some inside parts here, like so. Now what I want to do is basically start mounting these parts to the other parts. So end isolate, and that should just give us these bits. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and that and isolate them again. Okay, and I'm going to take this, make 3 copies, like so, and just adjust them so they spring back into place, otherwise they look a bit weird and broken. And then I'm going to take these two, I'm going to scale them a bit, so we get these nice big ones. I'm going to scale these two so we get even bigger ones, if I don't scale it in just one axis and break them. Okay. Now I can start finding places for these to be put. So, for example, this one. Have a look. And I'm going to scale it more correctly once it's in the right kind of area. In fact, what I'm probably going to do is just copy this one once it's done as well. It's too big at the moment, so a uniform scale, never a non-uniform scale, especially with this kind of thing. Okay, got my left viewport and zoom. It'll take you a moment or two to get this lined up the way you want it. Okay, back into perspective. To there, like that. Okay, go to my top viewport and zoom, and I'm just going to make a copy of it by doing a shift and grab. Don't worry if the model does that, it's not going to kill it, you can just make it spring back into shape again, like so. Perspective, zoom. Okay, so those ones are going on the outside, which is cool. Now this one, which is going on the inside and is much, much bigger, will have come down, and it's going to loosely dock into there. Okay, we don't have to be especially precise in its size or anything, because no one's going to see the inside, they're just going to see the pistons to kind of control it. I'm just going to be careful of the bottom ones, because obviously the bottom ones I don't want overhanging. There we go. That works nicely. Now we should have another nice big one. Maybe make it a teeny bit bigger. Hit F3 so I can see where it's going. And I'm just going to navigate it down into there. So it just latches on, and then in the top viewport, line it up that way. Perspective zoom. Okay, and now I can get rid of this one. Off you go. Okay, next I'm going to unisolate, so exit or end my isolation. Okay, and we can see things are starting to come into the place where I want them. So I'll bring this forward like that, and then bring it down a bit like so. Now this one probably could do with being a bit smaller, so I'm just going to select it, make sure I've got it all. Okay, and now I'll just move it forward so it intersects like that. And with this one, if I get the end, bring it up and bring it across so it's in the right area. Bit more down. go. And I can duplicate that if I wish. So I'm going to come round and just make sure I've got all these parts here selected. Like that, and I'm going to scale them again. I'm going to scale them by eye. I like the idea that having, you know, some bits that aren't quite even on both sides, you know, is good, because even though there is, you know, symmetry in machines, I like the idea that there's some slight flexibility in our design. Once I've got this all sorted out, you see, I can start working on things like the optics for the head and stuff. But obviously I'm not going to do that until all these bits are in place. So bring this down. Oh, I won't need this one. I can just pop that there. There we go. And the head is now mounted up to the gear system. So what I shall do is just show you. I shall grab our ends, which are these cylinders, and at this point the head is actually pretty much set in place, so all I've got to do is add the additional detail to it, and I can do that without damaging the head anyway. So if I just hit F4 so you can see where all these pistons are, then go into rotate mode, turn angle snap off. Okay, and I'm going to need to go to my left viewport and decide roughly where it's going to articulate from, which should be the neck. So, effect pivot only. I'm going to move the pivot down to there, at which point when I rotate the head, you can move down and up, like so. Now, I've got some extension issues, so I'm going to do an angle snap and do that. The reason being now that I can extend the length of the pistons. So when it's looking down, the pistons are going to go in the right direction. So I'll just let autosave finish quickly. Have some more coffee. Okay, and this is the good thing about pistons, you see, there's just so much you can do with them, it's ridiculous. Okay, so I'll just grab this end polygon, and I can just extrude it. Safe in the knowledge it'll go straight in there. And because I can see all those weird edges, I'll just apply a smooth to it. And just set it to 24.5 like I normally do. By the way, if you want to know where I got the value 24.5 from, my mate Pete JP used to use it a lot, and I was like, yeah, that one works. I remember I was like watching a tutorial he'd made a while back, and he applied a smooth modifier to it, and it was 24.5, and I was like, yeah, that works, I like that. So there you go, Pete, I stole it off you. He's get angry now, he's going to send around the boys. There we go, 24.5 again. Once I've done this bit, naturally I'm going to save, because there's too much of a danger that I'll end up ruining my model otherwise. Same again in here, and I'm giving them plenty of extra length, simply because if I want to turn the head from side to side I can. So turn smooth on, auto smooth, and 24.5, 24 and 23.4, no, 24.5, yeah, there we go. You can collapse it if you want to, it's not going to damage your model. So you convert to poly. Your model should still move. Whee, see? Cool, innit? Okay, now if I go back to my left viewport and zoom, and straighten up my head so we can see. Now that's its resting position, okay. And what I'm going to do at this point is, to make things easier for me, I'm going to get a helper. And it's going to be a dummy, and I'm just going to draw it here. See that? And then I can use this as a head look for the time being, which makes things a teeny weeny bit easier. So I can align that to the head. Bring it out here like that. Basically raise it up in front of the eyes. Okay. I might save off doing this till later, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do anyway. So head look, and then I would go to the motion, assign controller, rotation, assign controller, and it's going to be the look at constraint. And then for the head I'm going to add my look at target, which is this. Things are going to go nuts over there on the left. Whee, it's gone nuts. I'll select my look at axis and my source axis. Okay, so once I've done this, I should eventually start to get this where it's like looking in more or less the right direction. It could be actually, now think about it, that the, yeah I know, the axis is wrong, isn't it? So hang on, go over here to hierarchy, effect pivot only. Rotate the pivot 90 degrees. Effect pivot only off. Right, so now, in theory, you can see that this is controlling the head. Okay, and if I go into perspective and zoom, got a full range of movement now for the head, controlled by the pistons. Cool, eh? Okay then, so I'm going to remove that before I move on to the next part, simply because it'll probably end up buggering up my model otherwise. Oh no, I might leave it on actually and see if it does bugger up my model. That's morbid curiosity. But for you, I shall see you in the next part, and until then, bye bye for now.